Words. The simplest of things. But for some, salvation.
Poetry has definitely saved my life.
Giving voice to the voiceless.
No, I won't be ignored. Now listen up.
Hope to the hopeless.
I hope that they know that they are important.
Stories of courage.
My biggest fear I faced it today on this stage, and I feel like that's why I'm numb.
Stories of acceptance.
I'm going to come out and say, I'm a male.
Inspiring.
Well, if our future is in their hands, I'm telling you what, we are on the right path.
Transformative.
But no matter how many times they tried to shoot up my house, they ain't never hit me. I'm a soldier.
Necessary.
Never forget that a garbage bag cannot snap my neck.
This is Louder Than a Bomb.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our special coverage of Louder Than a Bomb Florida 2016, presented by the United Way of Broward County. I'm Jawan Strader. Now, over the next half hour, we are going to introduce you to some incredible poets and their stories, as well as the spoken word program that is changing their lives. It's called Louder Than a Bomb Florida and is organized by the Jason Taylor Foundation and the Blue Apple Poetry Network. It's our honor here at NBC6 to partner with this 12-day festival and bring you some courageous and powerful performances of South Florida high school students. And we start by introducing you first to what it means to be louder than a bomb.
I started Louder Than a Bomb with a crew of educators and poets and in Chicago. We wanted to create a cultural space that was radically inclusive and also that, was hopeful ultimately and brought people together around story and poem.
This is original spoken word poetry by young kids that are in high school that talk about their life experiences, talk about whatever's on their mind. They put it on paper, they stand on the stage, and they act it out.
They need to be empowered, they need to believe in themselves, and they need to have a voice.
We give them an avenue that they probably haven't been afforded. For a lot of them, it saves them.
For some of them, it's therapy. You hear about family, you hear about relationships, broken relationships with family members, with parents.
I think one of the things that poets get at Louder Than a Bomb is the sense that their stories matter and that also the world is a very big place. So I think once you really begin to see someone at a human level and they also see you, they witness you in your story, then that's going to propel you into a fresh future. I think you have a unique moment of what culture and democracy ultimately should look like.
These students, they're us.
It has been transformational. The program has been truly transformational in the lives of young people.
This is the second year in South Florida, and as new cities approach us, we tell them to look at the work, the exemplary work that's being done here in South Florida, because we think y'all are getting it right.
The program works. It works.
Now, the name Louder Than a Bomb is inspired by the lyrics of the legendary rap group Public Enemy. Chicago had 1,200 poets from 120 schools compete in their 5-week festival earlier this year. Meanwhile, Taylor and his foundation are hoping to grow the network here in South Florida. They are currently in 36 high schools in 4 counties, as well as 10 colleges, giving a voice to a total of 300 youth poets. And these poets often perform at poetry slams and showcases throughout the year, and many form strong friendships across city and county lines. They often call each other family, and that takes us to Hollywood Hills and a unique bond between one poet and his teacher.
When you went to jail, Mom, it left my mind in a prison. Cherished loved ones died while my brother and I were attending court. Poetry, it did save my life in a way that it opened up more opportunities. It was mostly just to get a message out to the world, pretty much something that I can be remembered by, but spread positivity and hopefully somewhat make someone smile.
Well, I just think it's such a powerful and positive output for kids who oftentimes they have so much to say and they have such a great voice and they have so few ways to use it in a positive way.
Well, I usually just focus on majority of just not following temptation, just being who you are. In the same day, the bank's knocking. 30-day eviction notice or pay $150,000. My house was under foreclosure during the summer, and recently, a few weeks ago, we got evicted from it. And Miss Pierce was kind enough to take us in, my brother and I.
I have a huge sense of empathy because I had owned during the housing boom in 2006, 2007, 2008, so I know exactly the struggles that people face. He kind of found out on a Monday he had to leave school, and he came with me Tuesday.
Without her taking us in, I don't know where my brother and I would be.
I have a 17-year-old, and I would hope that if the situation was the same. You know, I think it's an important lesson for my son as well, you know, because I want him to see that you help others. You know, that's how we as people make it, is we help.
Great story there. Nick's stage name is IntelliNick, and he's hoping that he and his brother can move back in with his father and stepmother soon. He says that there's so much negativity in the world, he just wants to use his poetry to make everyone smile. Well, one of the new events of this year's LTAP Florida Festival is a Mayor Slam. A mayor of a city performs with a poet from that same city. Oh, and let me tell you, they were pretty good.
I'm not your stereotype. I'm not Murder Gardens. I'm Miami Gardens.
Just talked about what we thought about Miami Gardens, what people think about Miami Gardens, what we know it is, and what we know it will become. And we wanted to communicate that with a spoken word piece. We're not just the bad headline. We're actually the good story. We have some extraordinary students.
Too strong on compliments, overdose on confidence.
This isn't just a speech, this is art. And so, and mostly I just didn't want to let him down. Look, he is the professional, I am the amateur.
You see, my parents, they neglected me. But thank God this poetry saved me.
Not oftentimes as the mayor, you know, we have an opportunity to really sit down with our youth in our community, and it was an awesome experience, and I learned a lot.
I want to be a visionary for the city. So when kids, when they look at me, they see the potential in themselves that I see.
A 9.3 and a 9.9. Give it up for those poets. The first annual Louder Than a Bomb Florida Mayor's Slam Champion, and that will be the city of Miramar.
I do mayor work. I'm not a poet, you know, but she made it so easy, and I'm so glad that we had an opportunity to share that experience, to represent the city of Miramar and bring home the first trophy of the Mayor Slam.
How awesome is that? And the poet you saw perform with the Miramar mayor is named Desiree Baptiste. Her week was just getting started, though. We'll see her compete in the individual finals after the break.
Coming up on Louder Than a Bomb Florida.
Why did you hurt me? I can't breathe. I'm drowning.
How spoken word helps one poet in the search for acceptance.
I'm going to come out and say I'm a male.
Plus, after months of preparation, 12 finalists compete in the individual competition.
It doesn't matter if a few points make me lose. I'll take all them L's and double U.
And later, how one high school is trying to redefine their city.
My babies are smart, they're intelligent. They are positive change agents in their communities.
I think it's so important to empower our youth from very early on, to be able to be who they are, to be proud of who they are. I am amazed at the depth of some of the kids and some of the poetry. I think it's just extraordinary, and it really is very lifting for people. And it's an art form, and it's an art form of expression. So what better way than for us to get involved as United Way with that?
So very true. Welcome back to Louder Than a Bomb, Florida. Well, students and organizers of this festival often describe their poets as a community, one built on diversity and acceptance, welcoming anyone trying to find their voice. And it's acceptance that one poet in Davie is seeking, using his words to illuminate the struggles he faces being transgender.
With poetry, whenever I'm feeling like depression or anxiety and stuff like that, I'll write it into a poem, and then it just helps me a lot. I'm going to be a princess in a beautiful castle with beautiful hair, but now I don't even know if I'm the prince or the princess. Basically, when I was a kid, I always thought that I would be like a princess in a castle. Now, coming into my teenage years, I was just like, all right, I'm gonna come out and say, I'm a male. Everybody's telling you, no, you're not this thing, or it's just a phase, or stuff like that. But it's been a phase for 3 years. How are you gonna deal with that now?
Why did you hurt me? I can't breathe, I'm drowning.
Having to use your biological sex bathroom is kind of embarrassing, because when you're a guy and you look like a guy and then you go into the woman's bathroom, it's like everybody's staring at you. I only have like 4 friends that actually respect me and call me my actual pronouns.
If you don't quite know who you are and you're struggling with your identity and you want to be known as Ray, then you're known as Ray. And if that's what makes you happy, then that's what makes you happy.
It's all about self-esteem and believing in yourself. This is you, and you have to accept who you are, and don't worry about what others think about you.
Clap your hands and Ray.
It also makes me kind of want to cry, but in a way that I can share my story and say, hey, this is a real thing, I exist.
Wow, well, Ray is also a talented drawer, painter, and singer, and he hopes to work as a Disney animator someday. He competed in this year's LTAB with his Western team. Well, nearly 300 poets entered the individual competition, but only 12 scored high enough to make the final round. That talented dozen taking the stage at Nova Southeastern University last week, showcasing their skills in a spirited display.
We are here, louder than a bomb, Florida individual finals. Make some noise. We have 12 amazing poets that are going to pour out their heart and souls on this stage for you tonight. Are you ready? There we go.
So what's the equation with the situation about my sexual orientation?
But you never talked about the shampoo, so how can your love be unconditional?
Tells me he loves me and that I'm pretty for a black girl.
Mainly because of what they hide. I remember you handing me bleach when I contemplated suicide. How could I deny?
Finally, their day of justice had come.
Whips and chains or burning chimneys. But no matter how many times they tried to shoot up my house, they ain't never hit me. I'm a soldier. I wish I could say the same for my little sister.
Put your hands up, you die, Mike Brown, you. Mind your business, you die, John Crawford, you know your rights.
I'll take all them L's and double U. As long as I can touch hearts and give them a show, I'll be the happiest papermate these judges ever sentenced.
We have a 9.9, a 9.9, and a 10.
That was dope. And listening to these kids sit up here on the stage and spill their guts and talk about their personal things, and some of the issues that they've talked about tonight, from sexual orientation to abuse, and this is a real outlet for the kids, and it's I'm blown away by it. Before we get to the prizes, again, I just want to say thank you to all of you poets here tonight. It's bringing people together that don't even know each other. And this poetry becomes the bond that brings everyone together. You guys are my heroes. You guys inspire me, you amaze me. Thank you so much for doing what you did tonight. I can't thank you enough.
Third place goes to Mr. Alexander Martinez. Second place goes to Lafayette. Our second annual Louder Than the Bomb individual champion is Desiree Baptiste.
I'm the voice for people who are voiceless. So I know I can't come here and disappoint. I am the voice for many people who can't speak. The second piece I did about my father was actually the first time I did it in a crowd like this. And it was like a really emotional experience for me. I never really shared that with anybody. I remember you handing me bleach when I contemplated suicide. I wrote that in my journal, and he read my journal, and that's when he handed me bleach.
That I hated you so much, I wish my mother would have miscarried me. While she carried me, you treated her terribly.
I feel like it was about time it came out. If I didn't do it now, then when?
So I held the phone for years until all I could hear is a dial tone. You're cold, because Father's Day comes around more than you do.
My biggest fear I faced it today on this stage, and I feel like that's why I'm numb. I'm so excited though. I'm gonna conquer the world. I'm gonna change the world with everything that I do, with my words, with my voice, whatever I do, I'm going to leave my mark on this earth, and I'm gonna make sure that my presence is known and it's very positive. I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for poetry. I finally am at home.
Never forget that a garbage bag cannot snap my neck. Thank you.
I got goosebumps right now. And a big congratulations to Desiree. We saw her win a $500 scholarship for winning the Mayor's Slam. And by winning the individual finals, she picked up a brand new Invicta watch and earned a trip to Chicago over the summer for a poetry conference. She will be attending Clark University in Atlanta in the fall.
Coming up on Louder Than a Bomb, Florida.
It saved me from suicidal thoughts, from depression.
Life is precious for the Freedom Riders of Miami Norland High School.
It is more than a team, it is a family.
We are the Viking Freedom Riders, and we are Louder Than a Bomb.
And later, Jason Taylor delivers his own powerful message of hope and generosity.
It takes one voice to change history. One voice to change history. And we have a lot of voices on this stage.
We are so excited to be in our 4th year of a partnership with the Jason Taylor Foundation. This year we're co-presenting sponsors of the Louder Than a Bomb Florida with UPS. It is exactly what NSU is all about. Two of our core values are community and diversity, and this brings some of the best of all of that to our campus.
Welcome back. Well, because the violence is all too familiar in the city, Miami Gardens has been given the unfortunate title Murder Gardens. We heard from the mayor of the city earlier in the show. Now we hear from the group of high school poets trying to redefine their city and define themselves in the process. We introduce you to the Viking Freedom Riders.
I am not everyone, but I am someone. I cannot write everything, but I can write something.
We are Viking Freedom Riders.
A freedom rider is basically when you are able to express yourself, speak for those who cannot speak for themselves.
One of my biggest goals as a creative writing teacher is to force my kids to learn who they are.
Stand on the line if you've ever lost anyone to gun violence.
It means that they are writing their lives. They're writing themselves into existence.
Writing has definitely become my life. I eat, sleep, and breathe poetry.
I found my way to freedom.
I write about human sex trafficking. I write about racial injustice. I write about cancer.
I write about body empowerment. I write about the importance of loving yourself.
Young kids like us, we get to put our work on the platform and be respected for it.
Lies, lie behind the truth.
Where would I be without poetry? I'd probably be in a cemetery. Poetry has definitely saved my life.
It saved me from a lot of things, from suicidal thoughts, from depression, anger management, things of that sort. Poetry literally became my aid whenever I needed it.
I know that there has to be someone out there that could relate to me. So that way I know that I'm not alone.
It is more than a team, it is a family.
We can't get enough of each other, and that's the truth.
I don't think my students know, like, how much I truly worry about them.
I never heard you can be anything you want. I never heard you got it, you can do great. My writing was a basis of how she just pushed me.
She pushes for her students to find who they are, and from that point on, she continues to push for you to, just excel in life.
I hope that they know that they are important. I hope that they remember that they deserve the best that life has to offer. But I want them to know that they were great before. They just needed someone just to tap into it. And once an individual taps into it, the sky is the limit.
Yes, it is. And the Viking Freedom Riders call Miss Simonette Ma Sim, and she calls her students her babies. Ma Sim was named the Miami-Dade Schools Teacher of the Year for 2015.
Coming up on Louder Than a Bomb, Florida.
Arms, angled in degrees, focus on zoom, so when the variable scopes, X is the hidden factor.
The Viking Freedom Riders take the stage in the team finals.
You guys take my breath away.
Plus, the moment with Jason Taylor that everybody is raving about.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Louder Than the Bomb, Florida team finals. Make some noise. So we do have our defending champion here today, and they're here to represent. Give it up for Miramar High School. What you'll see these young people come up here and they're gonna spill their hearts out on the stage.
We broke our backs fighting to be free, and now that we are, we choose to break each other's.
Maybe blood is thicker than water. Maybe I didn't want you to grow up without a father, but I didn't bother to find out if you were my son or my daughter.
Just a phase, I'm in a daze. These demons are screaming out my name. I can't think straight.
You are an illuminator, enlightening him with every step you take when you walk.
Maybe that's what they meant by "in God we trust."
And I was so filled with hate, but my face stayed poker. Cause all my dad did was pull a queen, while all my mom did was pull a joker. So now you don't mean jack.
Saya, Tashana, Kayla.
Daddy!
Arms, angled in degrees, focus on zoom, so when the variable scopes, X is the hidden factor.
We pledge allegiance like robots, liberty and justice, liberty and justice, liberty and justice, liberty and justice for some.
It's drowning
Our uterus, it begins with you but ends in us. Ease on down the road to anywhere but here.
From a low to a high, we have a 10. Third place, make some noise, the students from Miami Norland High School. In second place, Miramar High School. Our first place, all right, they win a few things. They also get a trip to Chicago, the 2016 Louder Than a Bomb Florida champions are Boca Raton High School.
Yeah.
We can't thank you enough, and it is not because of me. It is because of them. This is why we do what we do. We are changing lives. We are changing lives each and every day. And you know what, guys? It takes one voice to change history. One voice to change history. And we have a lot of voices on this stage, and it's so cliche, and it was said a long time ago, that children are our future. Well, if our future is in their hands, I'm telling you what, we are on the right path. We are going the right way. You guys inspire us. You fill us with love, with inspiration. The vulnerability that you show on this stage in front of complete strangers, spilling your heart out about your life, where you grow up, the things you deal with, the Federal Reserve, all the things that you're brave enough to talk about. I mean, it's amazing. And I truly, truly mean this. I can't do what you do. I'm gonna find a way between now and July to get it paid for if I have to write a check, but you're all going to Chicago. I'll make one promise. You're going to Chicago, If I'm free, I'm gonna go with you. I can't promise you that, but I'm gonna try. I gotta pause 1 second and bring up somebody that started this whole thing. Come here, girl. I should have rewound this. Autumn was the inspiration behind the Blue Apple Poetry Network at our reading room. It all started with one poem, unprompted, raw, organic, true to the heart. And look what you done started, girl. Look what you started. Hey, and from the bottom of my heart, and for these kids, thank you. Thank you. You are our inspiration. You started all this, and I'm telling you, like I said before, it takes one voice to change history. And you're changing it, girl. You're changing it.
Just one voice, one voice. What a thrill for all those kids out there. Thank you so much for watching our Louder Than a Bomb special. I'm Jawan Strader. Have a great night.